Welcome back to The Creative Lens. Today, Jake and Colden break down GoPro's roughest quarter yet and ask whether the Mission 1 just came a little too late. The guys also get into the Insta360 X6 versus DJI Osmo 360 Mark II, build the client stack from zero, and ask whether Ted Sanderos might have been wrong because movies are absolutely crushing it in theaters. Plus, a new FCC drone restriction might retroactively restrict certain products that creators can currently buy right now. Let's get into it.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to The Creative Lens. Jake, how's it going, buddy?
Doing great. All right. This episode is going to be so fun because ironically, it's going to be like a financial economic episode, even though we are the furthest people qualified to talk about financials and economics, but there's a lot of financial economic news.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've got some camera
industry.
nerd stuff. I see AJ's already on here. AJ, we're going to talk 360, man. I'm going to wait a little bit on that one because I got some thoughts on these new 360 cameras, man.
But it all comes down to the economics of it at the end of the day.
It's all where you're going to spend your money, man. But
yeah, and what company's worth
wars...
investing in, whether it's a stock investment or a investment in terms of your own money into the company and the gear.
You're totally right. And I'm going to take that segue to say, Jake, I told you so. I told you so.
You're right. Colden is always right.
No, but it sure feels good. I don't know. I don't know about this one, man. It feels good to be right, but it feels bad to watch a camera company that I really like struggle, flounder, and try and find a footing after a really bad quarter. So we're going to talk a little bit about this GoPro. This is from where are we at? Tech Radar, Tech Times. And so if you guys follow any kind of, any financial stuff, GoPro has not been doing super well in terms of just like rough. General look. You want to pull up your Robinhood account on GoPro right now. Like, Jake, look at that. They have been in the negative. To me, the other thing is like you were at basically zero margin and you have just dropped into negative margin quarter over quarter now. And obviously quarter one here was like, if you look at that, where the expectations of their earnings were and then where it actually is, brutal. And then it didn't improve really in quarter two. Quarter two is where we launched Mission 1, and we would have hoped to see them actually make some money off of that. But instead, they have just been floundering. And this is the thing that killed me the most, guys. Like, we launched the Mission 1. This is the thing that was supposed to really reinvigorate the brand, and they threw a lot at it. Camera sell-through is now down 38%. year over year, despite one of their most technologically advanced GoPros that they've dropped, and they already put it on sale, which is not it's already $100 off. The only thing I can say that they did do well. So here's another quick, I put this graphic together just so we can kind of break down what went well, what didn't go well. So, right off the bat, they had 104 million in revenue. That is down 31% from last year. So from the Hero 13 to now the Mission 1 as the flagship, we've lost 31% of revenue. What they did do really well, the camera sales are down 41% year over year. Their debt has gone up. What they now it's not in this, it's in the tech review article, which we can swap back up. But the only thing that they did that went up was their streaming service. They're streaming, they're providing that not streaming service, sorry, their subscription service. My bad. We're going to talk Netflix and everything else later. Streaming, their subscription service, right? They've got their like GoPro Plus or whatever for their subscription. I know they were offering a discount to the Mission 1 if you were part of this subscription model. So I wonder if that, do you get a subscription model? And anybody that's had this GoPro Plus or whatever you're calling the subscription model, is it worth it for anything? But I will just say I'm concerned with GoPro as a business. And the other thing that they have confirmed here is that, and I saw this on my Instagram, that they want to launch the ILS model in September. So they're trying to bring that to market. Who's going to buy it?
So, I mean, look, we've discussed this. We've covered this a lot, you know, from the launch, pre-launch to, you know, the embargoes to the financials. You know, it's definitely been something we've been covering, and it might be just a little too late. You know, we talked about how this camera, like, there's other bodies that do this and have done this for a long time. You know, but also, like, you know, you look at, in my opinion, like what GoPro did so well out the gate originally was innovation. Was they created a camera that truly didn't exist before that I'm aware of, not on the broad scale that existed. And you compare that to then over the last decade, 15 years, I don't know exactly how long it's been around, but like they just didn't innovate. Okay, well, you could go slower speeds. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Like that's been the only innovation that I've ever seen from GoPro is just, oh, okay, we'll get you faster FPS.
You know what I would say though, is it's not even, they actually don't get enough credit here. And I'm going to really like shine on GoPro for a second. They don't execute. And that's been my complaint about Nick Woodman is, as a CEO, is they actually innovate a lot that they don't get credit for because they can never execute. After they took that one little baby 720p camera and they put it in a dive house, after that, every innovation they've had has been not like, it's not fully there yet. They were the first 360 camera. I was watching, because I was watching some Hugh Huff's review on the X6. We'll talk about the X6 in just a couple of minutes, but his review on the X6 shouted out GoPro and Google had this partnership with the very first kind of consumer level 360 camera, but you couldn't, and they developed even their GoPro 360 plugin for Premiere. It was like literally the only way that we could edit 360 footage in Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. It was a free plugin, but everything else around that ecosystem was so bad. And the lenses were offset, so you wouldn't even get a clean stitch line. Like they were trying to figure it out before they could figure it out. But again, that's like, they innovated it. They couldn't produce it. They were one of the first drone companies, that big Karma drone, right? And the Karma drone that built into the gimbal. Now we're talking about how cool these pocket gimbals are. They built a pocket gimbal for their GoPros that plugged into their drone, but it fell out of the sky. I know you got thoughts.
No, I mean, again, I forget all of this until you mention it. Like I go, oh yeah. But again, they were not able to execute on it. You beautifully said well enough that it stuck in the ethos of that's who we are. You know, where compared to, you know, where DJI comes in as the drone company and just crushing the drone market and the stabilizer market in terms of gimbals. And then you have Insta360 who comes in as the new action cam, small cam with their truly good infrastructure of their 360 camera to then their action cam with the even smaller takeout nano version to like all of these little things where you go, okay. And it's a very good point where GoPro has just failed. I don't know, maybe not failed, but just fallen short on the mark of being able to be a good company, being able to actually execute on it. And I think that's a great insight because honestly, I forget all of these things because they were bombs. Yeah. You know, as we talked about in the past, I have the, you know, the OG 360 camera or whatever, 360 Max or whatever it's called from GoPro. I used it once or twice and was like,
it wasn't execute. And that was my biggest thing. And where I feel like the struggle has been is like, yes, have they carved out a micro niche of the action camera market? They've iterated since Hero 1, their Hero line. I mean, I'm honestly sad that they killed off the Hero line. I don't know if it's coming back. I don't know if there's any plans to have a Hero 14. What it looks like they did was basically make a Hero 14, but call it the Mission 1 instead and charge $100 more than they usually release it for. But
I know, because it looked like the Hero. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's a Hero.
Rebrand?
Yeah.
Are we just rebranding now and trying to not go into, you know, iPhone worlds of iPhone 73?
But they missed all of those other verticals that could have kept the lights on, could have kept the company successful, and they just got their lunch eaten by everybody else. And that part kills me, is because they really have innovated on, I mean, they have been the provider of all the IP that Insta360 and DJI and you name 10 other companies knock off.
They were the fathers.
Just rip off. Yeah. And they were the ones that started it, and it's just hard to see them struggle to find their place so much. This is interesting. This is the other thing that this is their solution. So one, I'll be interested to see if they ever actually bring this, given how much they have been struggling in Q2 and their cash on hand. That's another thing that we could have talked about in that slide, is that their cash on hand has depreciated. So I'll save you guys all the details. If you want that whole spreadsheet, let me know. I'll send it to you. But they went from $40 million of cash down to $27 million in 1 quarter.
Ooh.
So they are burning cash to get these things over the finish line.
After this $20 million investment.
Right. Right. Well, that's a loan. We're talking cash in the bank that they can use. But what I would say to what you just said is, that's after they took all those pre-orders. That's after the biggest hype push that they've had for a camera. I mean, this is the first new camera. Yeah. We'll say new because we think it is very much another Hero 14, but totally new branding, totally new way of marketing this. All the, pre-orders that went out before the camera was even ready to go. This is the other thing, and we'll see. Here's another fear I have with GoPro. They don't execute their software as well as they've executed their hardware. The GoPro app has always been a little cumbersome to try and get stuff off of, edit in. So this is going to be their solution. Remember, I said the problem with the ILS, no contact points, only fully manual lenses. Obviously, you won't get autofocus, but you also don't get any kind of aperture control. All those focus by wire, any of those lenses that are in the Micro Four Thirds system, they're out. You only get the fully manual control. So they've got this app that's going to come out that they're teasing focus peaking, because how else are you going to use this camera without focus peaking? I did a whole lens review with my ZR, which has a 4-inch screen and it's a really good camera. I even struggled with focus peaking on that 4-inch 1000 nit brightness screen. That is going to be the question mark here, is can you execute an app that allows you to use, here's more than 300. And I'm interested. I haven't fully dug into this article. You got a lot of lenses in the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem, but again, it takes out all of those that need aperture control. Even if they're manual focus, if you need electronic communication for aperture control, you do not get to use it on this lens. So we'll see. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see over the next 12, 24 months what happens to GoPro. I mean, obviously we do this every week, so I feel like I have more of a pulse over this now more than ever, but it's going to be very interesting in the next year. Well, I mean, not only that, like with GoPro as a company, with these embargoes, with the literal embargoes happening on DJI, with all of
we'll talk more about that in a minute. AJ said he's got drone thoughts. We're going to get into the drone thoughts because there's some real interesting stuff that's going on there. But
so it's just an interesting space. I mean, we've talked about it offline, which is not, we don't have it for this show, but just to kind of talk about it just for half a second. I mean, you've talked about the lawsuits. We've talked about the lawsuits that was it Nikon, right? Mm-hmm. Had it in China and Japan, and just
how did we not put that in this show? More to talk about, but that's okay.
We can just tease it for a second, but it's very interesting, this changing landscape. I mean, which is kind of the ethos of today's episode. It's just the changing landscape of cinema and cameras and what is happening, where are we going with things. And it's a just a very interesting thing to especially do this show every week with you, Colden, where we're seeing it kind of unfold and in front of our eyes and try to predict it at the same time of like, oh, is this, where are we going? Where is this leading? What's happening? So it's, I just find it all very fascinating.
For any of you guys that have been joining from the beginning, Jake and I are both working filmmakers and kind of content producers. And when we were starting this, I think, Jake, you and I were both talking like, how are we going to come up with stuff to talk about each week? One, we could just, shoot the shit by ourselves and make a podcast out of it. But how are we going to come up with like news and like things to really talk about? And it's almost too easy. It's a little almost frustrating how much this cycle just spins. And some of this is all just kind of influencer drama. And I do want to talk about in a minute, we'll talk about the Insta360 X6, the new 360 camera, and de-influence for a minute, because I do feel like the marketing hype, like we cover a lot of marketing hype on the channel, but I don't spend a lot of money on it. I like talking about new stuff, but there's so much marketing hype getting pushed nowadays too, which I just think is, we get to cover here and we certainly have opinions about it. But the next thing though, that, you had said, let's get into the movie landscape for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because again, the cinema stuff is changing constantly. And it's very interesting to see what's happening. And again, prediction. We're talking about like, where are we going with things and people trying to predict the industry. And, Ted Sarandos released a statement, I think it was in 2025, where he said, releasing movies in theaters is an outdated mode of an idea for most people. And right now, theaters are seeing the biggest success they've seen in like almost a decade.
Yeah.
And so this is Box Office Mojo, where it breaks down, but it's, it tracks box office. This is not Netflix. This is, these are people who are releasing movies in theaters. I just kind of want to run through these numbers. So this is the weekly top grossing, of, what did it gross that weekend? Right. So, we're getting in the 100 millions, under 100 million in, most of January, got up a little bit in, February. But again, we're talking, it's not until April where we have, Project Hail Mary and Super Mario Brothers, where we've gone into, Project Hail Mary really started us off.
Yeah. And that was the summer. I was going to say, for anybody that's watching this on their phone, on our shorts feed, this is, well, over here, this is very hard to read. So you got to read it out for us, because I'm staring at this and I'm going, read it for me, Jake.
I'll make it a little bigger. Is that better? Easier?
Better. Yeah.
All right. So
chat better.
In March 2020, or March 20th to 26th, that's when Project Hail Mary dropped. And we finally start pushing $188 million in a weekend. Again, $188 million the next weekend after that. Then Super Mario comes out and we get our first 200 million, almost 300 million in a weekend. Then it starts to drop again. But then Michael comes out, Devil Wears Prada comes out, and we're now at over 200 again. Star Wars comes out, 200. You have Backrooms, #1 box office movie, new release. Scary Movie coming out, Disclosure Day, Toy Story. With Toy Story, we get over 300 million. And then with the Odyssey, we get again over 300 million. And in this last week, with Spider-Man and the Odyssey, we have over $600 million in box office in a single weekend. And it just kind of really goes, back to the point. It's 100% people want to go see movies in the theaters, right? Have you seen Odyssey or Spider-Man, Colden?
I went to go see Spider-Man. I'm such a basic bitch. I'm sorry, Jake, and anybody else that wants to roast me. I went and saw Spider-Man. I have not seen the Odyssey yet because I've been on the hunt for at least an IMAX. I want to see it at least in IMAX, and that's been kind of difficult to find. You've got LA theaters, so you actually have, I think you have 50% of the IMAX screens in the country.
Yeah.
So you're spoiled. You
100%.
have some of the fewest, like there are very few that you can actually see 70 millimeter IMAX. You have, I think, 3 of those.
Yeah.
So it's harder to find for the rest of us in the country, but so I went and saw Spider-Man, loved the movie. Not as much, I guess, fan service as the last one, No Way Home, where just they had all the Peter Parkers and the multiverse. And like that one was like,
oh, I thought they had a lot of fan service in this.
No, I say that in a good way because they actually like, it was a little bit darker. There was actually, I think one of the reviews that I was watching, which I agree with, is like this is the first time that Peter Parker actually got an actual storyline where it was actually about Peter Parker and not just kind of cameos of different places you can drop Spider-Man into. So I thought it was a great movie. I need to see the Odyssey though. I haven't seen that one, but
yeah. So with that, basically they pushed Spider-Man 6 months to let him film the Odyssey. And while he was on the Odyssey, he kept calling Sony and the producers and the director of Spider-Man. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, Tom Holland, there's memes about it that like Tom Holland makes one real movie and then changes everything that he's ever done.
Yeah. No, I love those memes. I love the clips of Tom Holland being like, no, this is how a real movie set is supposed to run. This is how we have to do it from now on for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So, but what's I find so cool is that, that the IMAX, like if you look at IMAX in the last like 6 months, is like, this is just their stock. It's going up,
Yeah.
And even in the last month, like if we go back to this, like, look at this. This is the end of July in the last like 4
basically
weeks.
When press started on the Odyssey or when the release of Odyssey. Yeah,
exactly. And I just think it's so cool because I think it, and if you look at the same thing with like, look at Cinemark, big movie theater chain, again, in this last like 4 to 6 weeks, but even it's just been a steady rise all summer, and you look at even AMC, it's the same thing. They're moving up too. And you just see all of these companies that, are putting out movies. And look, and these are just the movie theaters. This is not the distributors. These are not the production companies. These are just the actual theaters themselves. You would get to, the stats are increasing. They're worth more. People are going. And as somebody who loves the art of movies and is a traditionalist in that sense, I don't know, whatever you want to call that, but like there is something just very special about seeing a movie in a traditional movie theater and to be able to actually enjoy that. Like I watched, for example, The Invite. Did you know about that movie? So it's Olivia Munn's newest directorial, not debut, but her newest directorial project. Seth Rogen, Penelope Cruz, Ed Norton, and her. It's just the 4 of them star in it. And it's hilarious. It's amazing. It's a dramedy. It basically takes place in an apartment in one night.
Okay, I read about this. I didn't get to see it. But the other thing, I'll jump in accidentally, but I'll give you a chance to sip your coffee. They shot it in order too, right?
They did. Well, let's go into that in a second. But the main thing I want to
jump the gun, guys.
Finish my thought was what was so cool about seeing it in theaters was the entire audience just laughing hysterically and uncomfortably throughout that movie because it is funny, it is uncomfortable, and she delivers on it and fantastic. I think she should get nominated for like everything. But besides that, it was cool to be in an audience and have the audience laughing at a comedy in a theater.
Yeah.
And so it was nice. It was very reminiscent of like back in the day. And it wasn't a big superhero movie of like, it wasn't Endgame and having everyone come alive and going, ah! But it had that same sensation. We were all here enjoying this together the same way you would be at a concert enjoying it. And so, but yeah, we can be nerdy now for a second. They shot the whole thing chronologically, which was
and that doesn't happen. Like that.
No.
Very rarely do you shoot anything in an order that is chronological through the script.
But it's essentially a stage play.
Yeah.
It's essentially a stage play. So the script itself lends itself to be able to do that. And I think directorially, it was a very smart choice because you got to literally live through these moments of like, okay, great. Here's this tense moment. Here's this comedic moment. Here's this rising tension. And so the actors got to feel that over the 3 weeks they shot it.
And one unique thing about that script too, while we're on it, if you read this as well, is that there were, I think Elizabeth Munn had said, we're going to go through this journey together. And there were notes of things, but they were also kind of open to experimenting on how those characters were going to evolve as they were shooting it chronologically.
Yeah.
They were rewriting.
They were willing to rewrite.
That is something that you can only do though. Also in like, you're not going to do that in an Avengers movie where every day on set is a totally, you've got millions of dollars of even just casting. This is a room that you could experiment with a little bit more. It's my favorite thing about indie kind of, and I know this is not indie, but the idea of indie filmmaking where you have it's character driven, not just look at all these cool special effects or AI I can blast into a movie for no reason.
Yeah. And, fun fact for those who have seen it, or when you do go see it, the big monologue by Ed Norton at the end was supposedly fully improvised, that the actors didn't know it and their emotional reactions were the true emotional reactions built up over those multiple days of shooting, being with these characters, being in response to each other. And Ed Norton came in and just brought that in. And so I highly recommend it. Highly
Very cool. It's on my, now I've got another one on my list, but you know what? We'll help those AMC numbers go up even more.
It is on streaming now, to my knowledge.
Oh, okay.
It is now. I think because it's a smaller movie. Yeah, it is not.
Didn't have as much anymore. of a run.
Yeah, it's not. It's not the Odyssey. It's not Spider-Man. It's
To your point, though, I mean, I've enjoyed it. There is a community feeling about going to a movie that you don't get as much as, Ted will say, America only wants to stream in their pajamas in their living room. I think there is a communal factor to movies, going to movies.
So kind of cool story on this. And this is, a little bit of us, shooting the shit now, but I happened to when we went and saw another movie, my wife and I, a couple of weeks ago, as we're walking into the movie theater, we see her best friend and husband walking out of the theater. And then we saw Spider-Man last week and we sit down and then we kind of get something's happening to our left. And I don't know why the screen is thumbsing up, and we turn and look to our left. There's some of our closest friends are also watching Spider-Man at the same theater, the same time, out of all of LA, how often does that happen?
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of a cool thing. It's it is very much that community. It's our friends are going to see movies, we're happening to running into each other at the same time. It's just kind of a cool group thing that's happening.
It's very cool. And to go completely outside of cinema. So this will be a hard stop and moving into my nerdy stuff is the anti-cinema camera. These 360 cameras I have covered, we have talked about. I was legitimately excited about this X6 announcement. And I said there was one thing that Insta360 needed to do in order to earn my money, and they didn't. And I got to tell you, call this the anti-influencer segment. I don't think it's worth a buy, Jake. So it came out, dropped. I will say there's one really unique, I love, we quoted this before, but Philip Bloom is a favorite of mine. And he posted this just to show you where we're coming from. I thought this was cool. This was the very first Insta360 camera ever, 360 camera ever, in 2016. This was their very first one, the 4K beta. It shot 4K at 15p. And this is the new X6 that just came out a couple of days ago that shoots 8K at 50 frames a second. So it's cool to see in 10 years how far we've come. That being said, they didn't deliver on a bunch of things that I was really hoping that we would get. So the first thing and the most painful is here's the X6 and it's $699. Now that competes with the Mission 1. But the original, so here's the X5, which just came out less than a year ago. And this is not dropped in price. This is what it was. I think, if anything, it's gone up over the last year. So it's $550 for the X5. And it's $150 more for the X6. So what do you get? They both, and Hugh Huff, I will say, out of all the reviews and all the people that are trying to sell this camera, Hugh did a great job of almost making me think it was worth it. He did a great review. It was phenomenal information. And if you have not watched his review, he was one of the OG guys in the 360 space. He got me into 360 cameras and he taught me how to use 360 cameras in DaVinci Resolve. So huge shout out. He did a great job. But to me, what are these cameras going to be for? And the big win from the X5, if you are upgrading to the X6, is like pixel peeping level of, oh, well, you can, if you zoom in 200%, then you can clearly see that the X6 has better dynamic range or better detail here. This is an action camera to me. This is a travel camera. And what they didn't do
it's
here,
a gimmick camera. You know, you're using it for the gimmick, and like that's why when I call a gimmick camera, like, you know, you're doing it for a specific fun thing that it does. Like, yeah. I had a client who we just got a couple of different these digital 8mm version cameras, and they're gimmick cameras. Like they're there for a fun effect, but they're like, you're not shooting a movie on it. Like,
well, we've said this actually could fit a lot of interesting like holes in my kit. It's not, I agree with you. It's a gimmick camera in that I'm not going to shoot with this every day. But if it fits a need in my kit, then it's a great camera. The problem to me is I can't justify an extra $150. And by the way, the DJI Osmo 360 that came out 8 months ago is like $400 on Amazon right now. So you're talking about, I could buy 2 of them before I bought this X6. And where it improved, the X5 had removable lens covers. So if you break a lens, you can replace it. The Osmo doesn't. So if you buy, but again, I can buy 2 Osmo 360s for the price of this one camera. They upped the frame rates from 8K 30 to 8K 50. They didn't even give us 8K 60, which would be like, and I thought, okay, these rumors are PAL numbers. They'll at least be able to get us to 8K 60, which is more of an NTSC frame rate. No, 8K 50. So I'm paying $150 for 20 frames a second more. Now the sensor from the 5 to the 6 went up. It went from a 1.1 over 1.2 to 1 over 1.1, which is, you know, go watch Hugh's review. I don't have the camera. It's slightly better when you zoom it in, but it's still an 8K sensor, which means you're still reframing to 2.7K. The X5, the X6, the Osmo has this sensor. It has the 1 over 1.1 inch sensor for $300 less. So you guys can tell me where I'm wrong and what I'm missing, but honestly, I don't think it's worth the buy. The other thing that they did in this one, which the X5 didn't do, you've got a new battery, which is great, except you got to buy all new batteries. You've got 47 gigs of internal storage here, which the other one didn't do. I don't know what you think, Jake. I don't know what you guys in the comments think, but 47 gigs of storage. Some of the Reddit channels that I was reading said, oh, well, now with chips, AI. So with AI and all the chips and all the storage being sucked up, everything's more expensive now. Okay, that's fair. There was a comment on my YouTube video when I was talking about the rumors of this X6 camera. If it doesn't have internal storage, that's a deal breaker for me. I don't understand that, because put a 512 gigabyte SD card in there and then never take it out. What's the difference? I just don't understand that concept, because to me, 47 gigs is like 12 minutes.
Yeah, 47 gigs is not that much.
It's certainly not $150. Even in today, right now, you can go for $150. You can buy a 256 gigabyte V30 SD card and be done with it. And that's, 5x what they gave us internally. The DJI, and then DJI also announced. So again, here's the complaint. DJI, in fairness to DJI, they announced the Osmo 360. They said they were going to announce it the day after the Insta360 dropped, and they did. They actually announced this one, compared to how bad the Pocket 4P drop was, right? It's on their website right now. Now, the problem with this is you have to set your location to mainland China to be able to get it, but you can. And here's where like everything in. So here they're comparing right now the Osmo 362 versus the one. You actually, so the Osmo 360 Mark II, you actually get 60 frames a second, which is, again, 10 frames a second slower than the X6. Not that big of a deal. 120 megapixel, supports HDR. That's similar. I believe the X6 is 100 megapixels. So, slightly less there. You've got the same, their AI super night mode, which is fine. 14.5 stops of dynamic range. Jake, I feel like dynamic range this year, tell me I'm right or tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. Dynamic range as a marketing tool to like these cameras is protein to anything at a grocery store right now.
That is the best comparison I've ever heard.
You walk through a grocery store and shit that should never have protein in it. We walked through Costco last weekend.
It was like gluten 2 years ago, where it's like this is gluten free. It's like,
yeah,
great. Steak is gluten free.
Yeah, like, I don't need my salad mix.
Your steak or your chicken is gluten free. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
or like lettuce, gluten free.
Great. Yeah, exactly right.
Here's your
so they went from
that has protein.
They went from that to protein. Now you can get protein sodas and protein this and protein that. And I feel like we are shifting into this world where they have
and I feel like everybody. It was megapixels. Realize I think a couple years ago it was like 32 megapixels, 42 megapixels, 72 megapixels, 172 megapixels.
Yeah. Yeah, and AJ points out here too, just while we're like comparing all of these things, that the big jump from the 5 to the 6 will be 10-bit, which is fair. But if you just get the Osmo that is still on sale here in the US, you get 10-bit and you get the 1/1.1, and it's $400. So it's literally half. So I agree, it's a hard pass on that way. But I do feel like the same way it was gluten-free and then it was protein, and then it was megapixels for us, it's dynamic range now. So my, the anti-influencer brain in my head goes, if you see blah, 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 dynamic range, it's marketing more than anything. What are you actually going to shoot with it? And why does it matter? But you have the same basically 14 and a half stops in the X6 and the DJI, you have to test it. And they give you twice as much storage here. But again, if you want the original Osmo, you still get twice as much storage as the X6 is going to give you. And then you're going to have to do some conversions. Oh, there was a price up here, I thought. It might not be. Oh, yeah, here. So Chinese yen, 3,299 Chinese yen, which broke down to like $450. You can do the conversion yourself, but that feels like a reasonable price. My frustration on all of this is, and you guys tell me what you think, because, and here's my biggest fear when you start banning products that don't need to be banned. Insta360 feels like they do not need to compete with anybody right now. They've kicked GoPro like while they were down. GoPro's not doing these. And DJI can't sell their camera here, which allows them to mark up this camera. Okay, you can say AI 55 times and you can be as mad as you want that data centers are hogging all the SSDs. I'm with you. There's no reason why DJI can sell a camera for $450 and Insta360 turns around and sells it for $700 that are comparable cameras outside of just greed.
Well, it's capitalism. That you could say, and that's
greedy
capitalism. The downside of capitalism.
Yeah.
Look, I just saw an Alex Hormozi video. For those who are in the entrepreneurial space, you know the name, but if you're not, and Alex Hormozi is a big entrepreneur. He, makes a lot of content and he's a successful businessman. And he's like, look, capitalism is, there's a lot of good things about it, but is it a flawless system? No. Is it the best system that is currently available in economics? Yes. And, this is, it's supply and demand though. Are there people who, and look, it'll go down. If it doesn't sell, the price will go down. As we talked about with GoPro, the price is going down because it's not selling. The people are not, it is not valuable enough for the market, but because there is a demand for 360 cameras, DJI cannot fulfill it. You cannot have competition. So thus Insta360 is getting it. Now, I find it hilarious that, the whole economics of the tariffs where Insta360 is a Chinese company. They're not getting hit with the hard, press bans that, DJI is. Now, I have literally less than zero information about why DJI is getting banned and all that. All I know is that they're a Chinese company and something with, Chinese spies and whatnot. But again, who knows if that's actually even true?
Right.
Because, who knows what the actual truth is. But, look, it is what it is. And, at the end of the day, it comes down to us deciding it, as it always has been, whether we want to spend our money in that or not. That's how companies will, price it is based off of that.
And I agree with you completely. And I like it, dude. Get up on the soapbox and let us know drop your knowledge, man. But I will say,
it's because I'm short, and so I have to constantly stand on a soapbox to even just be heard.
It's an Apple box for us. It's not a soapbox,
exactly.
but same thing. So when you talk about capitalism, you have to also keep it like it has to be free and fair markets. That's where I start to go, you're artificially increasing one company's value or demand because you are banning. And like you said, you don't even know why the other company, DJI, for this particular situation is getting banned. I don't understand a ban on a 360 camera that has no more or less technology in it than Insta360's. The only thing I can say, having slightly tried to research this and done a couple of videos on what the FCC is doing, is it ties back to Chinese ownership. And I do understand that if you are sending information to a server to be processed, one of the big sells on the Insta360 and the new DJI are both that you can just send it up and it's going to AI edit all the videos for you, which is like the least necessary tool that I need in an editing suite. Like, please keep all of the AI stuff out of your app, but that's a big sell for both.
But for the consumer side, though, again, and that's constantly the thing that we have to check ourselves on this podcast, is that we're professionals, like in all senses of the word. We're using these gear at the top level for ourselves, for clients, and getting paid good money to do it. and have been doing it for over a decade, each of us. You're talking about somebody, you know, it could be Joe from Georgia or, you know, Sue from San Francisco, who's like, oh, that would be fun. Because that's a large portion of this audience that buys these cameras. We are the minority. We are the small portion of this audience who support these companies. It is a large portion is the everyday person, the consumer, especially now with the industry of content creation and YouTuberism and, you know, that whole influencer content creator industry, which is a massive industry. You know, billions of videos are being uploaded to YouTube every day or something like that.
Yeah.
And those are the people buying these cameras. Where it's like, great, I'm going to buy the one camera. I can buy an Insta360 camera for $500, $600, $700 versus a Canon DSLR, a Sony mirrorless camera for $1,500. And then I have an app, which apps are scary. And I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do any of this. AI edit my own app and it gets it pretty close, much better than ever I could think I could do. Whoa, amazing. I can put videos now online very easily. And again, getting off my soapbox, so I'll stay in a little shorter.
No, I agree. I think that audience is not this audience.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me just don't make me use my director voice.
Oh, you already did, man.
Exactly.
And AJ, I agree with you. I think DJI equals some politics. There's some issues in there. There's also some ownership question marks that is legitimate. So I don't even want to like sit here and pretend I know more than I should know, because I don't. I do think that there's some questions that need to be answered from DJI's side, but I also think they're not really getting a fair shake either. So take that how you wish to take it and go run with it. I will say only one more thing to the DJI the DJI X6. We're just mushing all of these cameras together. If you are going to buy, and Jake, you will get a giggle out of this, I'm sure. If you are going to buy the Insta360 X6, I think it's worth a pass. But if you are going to buy it, this to me, go get it from Costco. If you can.
That's not
sponsored.
I laugh at it.
Not sponsored, but
because how much is it?
$699. So it's the same price as just the camera. You get 2 batteries, the selfie stick. They're like interchangeable clip-on thing that they stole, like the ecosystem quick release that they stole from DJI, and an extra lens, all for the same price as what the actual camera.
Solid bundle.
So I do think, and that's how I bought my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 was from Costco, because they just give you so much more for it.
Shout out to Costco, man. If you want to,
that's my shout out. If you can,
yeah,
right. That'll be our first sponsor we take on the channel is Costco. Deal. I'll wear a Kirkland shirt for it for sure. Yeah, I'll be a shill for that. But yeah, if you can, I think this is the best way to go if you have access to it. Yeah, because you will get more for that. I just don't think that price tag for $699, and blame AI if you want, but I don't think that price tag is worth what you get for it. I can tell you from my personal use, it's a fun toy. Like Jake, you said, it's a gimmicky toy. It gets the same amount of use as my GoPros before I bought a 360 camera, and I'm not pixel peeping that stuff. What we said on a previous podcast is, if you can give me 12K, that gives me a 4K output. It has to be a good 4K output. But if you can get me to 12K that I can output 4K that cuts in with the rest of my footage, then it becomes a professional tool. Until then, it's a BTS camera. It's a toy camera. It's a vacation camera. And why do I need to pixel peep? I do not need the most perfect, highest end quality, because there'll be a new one out tomorrow. That's what they did with these DJI and Insta360. I don't think these cameras, maybe the X5, but I know the Osmo 360 hasn't been out a year yet. And they already said, oh, we got a new upgrade for you. Buy it now. Buy our camera. So anti-influencer
it's the iPhone model. We need to release a new model every year.
Yeah.
It's just the iPhone. It's the car, which was the car industry. moved into now consumer electronics, and it's like, here's the new upgrade every year. Here's the new upgrade every year, so that their top line just keeps growing.
But where Apple has done differently, and where I was like very willing, because I think iteration models are fine. It just encourages me if I have the, I have the X4, so I didn't need the X5. The difference, the iteration between the 4 and the 5 was not that much, but the difference between the 4 and the 6 felt like, okay, this is a good upgrade time, maybe. iPhone has generally, outside of this big AI chip cycle that we're in right now, has fairly consistently kept their new model the same price or similar price, maybe, a 5% delta, $50.
Definitely, there's been price creep,
but 40%, 35%, which is the difference
with this newest model. But again,
so are we blaming AI for it?
Blaming AI for it, blaming inflation for it, whatever it is. But it's definitely across the board, things are getting more expensive.
I bought an iPhone, what are we on? 12 Pro Max for $12.99. I bought my 17 Pro Max for $13.99. So that's not the same price creep as $150 off of a $500 camera.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything else. It is the same camera as the 8 months before that. That price creep is much more significant. And that was just my deal breaker. I said, I hope that's the rumor that is incorrect in this. And they are going with a model. They did it with the Luna too. It's obscenely too expensive. And maybe I'm just a cheapskate, but I just think for what you get out of it, I'm a boomer that's like, back in the day, the GoPros cost $200. I get it. I know that's my mentality, but it's too expensive for what other options are out there, I think.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Well, on a whole different, this is going to be very nerdy on the fun side. Did you see that Christopher Nolan had a retrofitted Pentax 67, and so he can use it as a director viewfinder? Did you see that for the Odyssey? Yeah. So very cool on that.
Very cool. That looks just like a 360. No, I'm just kidding.
StreamYard's got to improve that. But basically, they pulled out a Pentax 67 and made it into so you can actually correctly see it all and actually be able to
basically gutted the whole camera, right? And they just gave it a PL mount that he could just carry around as a viewfinder. I think it's genius. And
instead of lugging around the entire camera or setting up some weird viewing system, like they were able to to do this because and so this little it explains it well. It's because the has a 55 by 70 millimeter negative area, which closely mimics the aspect ratio of the 15 perforation 70 millimeter IMAX cameras. It takes an ideal viewfinder. And so just this article, there's a lot of articles on it, but in DP review just explains it that, there's not a viewfinder for IMAX cameras. And so they modified, the IMAX team solved this by modifying the Pentax 67 for it. And I just find it so cool that there's these little nerdy, clever things. But
he did some other nerdy stuff though too that was just so cool. That like he carried around an old Casio, wireless TV,
wireless TV as his
just to kind of keep an eye on performance. So he's like, it's such an interest. Yeah, it's
that's his video.
I like the nerdy stuff.
He doesn't do any video village. That's his entire video village. It's just all right. Hey, and you see videos of him and behind the scenes clips with him and Matt Damon. Just be like, okay, watch this. Here. So great. Good. Let's run it again.
Yeah.
Not that he talks like that in the slightest, but that's my director's voice.
No, I love that. It's cool.
Yeah, just kind of a fun little thing to be able to take that and like I know it didn't happen, but in my universe that he actually had 65 millimeter, he had film in it and took also behind the scenes of these great medium format photos. I know he didn't do it, but in my universe, there's a collection of beautiful, medium format photographs from Christopher Nolan while he from behind the scenes and location scouts. I know it's not true, but in my universe, it is true.
I love it. I'm catching up on some of these comments that we've got from our 360 segment.
Okay.
And yeah, like they're setting their prices. That's kind of what we were talking about, Matt. I agree. Like that was my complaint, is that the lack of competition has led Insta360 to get a little greedy. I had put out a video talking about how like the Insta360 win rate over this year has been impressive. And they're a company that I like supporting. They've fumbled the ball a couple of times. There was Insta360 Gate, where they were like telling influencers not to mention that they were sponsoring a video, or that it was, a trade or whatever. The Insta360 was sponsoring the video. That was sketchy for a little while. There were a lot of people that were swearing off the brand. So I'm not saying they're perfect, but there was definitely this summer, between the Luna launch and then the lawsuit that DJI sued Insta360 that ended up getting dropped. They've continued to win. And then the Luna launch, they've continued to win as they go. Yeah, but this one, to me,
they are definitely
like a fumble. Yeah,
but I think they're pushing, on all cylinders right now. I mean, in the scheme of things, I think they are the company right now in that action cam, small body cameras to compete with is there's nobody competing with them. Like DJI, because of all the embargoes, DJI is
in the US. There's nobody that's allowed to compete with them, which is, again,
and it's
put me on my Apple box.
Fascinating.
I'm going to move that to our saying, Jake, is instead of standing on your soapbox, you're going to stand on your Apple box. It's going to be it's going to catch on. I swear.
I love it. No, I love it. And it's just such a fascinating situation to be in. And because I feel like there's so many things behind the scenes with that are not actually reported on. But speak on this, Colden. So, because
I wanted to get to Matthew's stuff too, but we'll speak on this.
We're going to get back to Matt. Matt, stay around. Don't leave. But is he cooked? Because I'm not a 360 guy. And so this world a little bit more. Is this individual cooked or not?
No, that's what I was saying. What's crazy is the Osmo 360 camera just came out like 8 months ago. It has the same 1/1.1 inch sensor that the new X6 has. Now, the X6 has been clear that it's a Sony Bion's sensor. The Osmo, just as DJI rarely does, DJI did not tell us what sensor they're using. It's a great camera. I literally today, so if it makes you feel any better from like one guy on the internet, I went and looked up on Amazon today. I was like, maybe I'll just buy the Osmo 360. And then I kind of had to go, wait, I have the X4. I do not. This is gas syndrome, gear acquisition syndrome. Like, you don't need more stuff. I love, if you missed our last kind of episode about this, I love a 360 camera. I think if you are just getting into 360, you will find anything you grabbed a GoPro for, you will use your 360 camera more for. I freaking love the format of 360. What were you saying, Jake?
No, I was saying it makes total sense. Like anything that you would use a GoPro for. The only thing I don't know is how slow does it go? How slow?
So that's the breaking point.
And I think that's the only, like, if you're going to use a GoPro for good slow motion or an action cam for good slow motion that you want, like in a action-y type situation, sportsy, whatever, but then okay, great. Have one of those cameras again for a couple $100 for extreme slow motion.
So you don't need to, because most of these have a very high single lens mode. So if you don't want the full 360 stitch,
Oh.
now it's not the Mission 1. If you want 900 frames a second, I don't know why, but if you want that experience to get to see what a 3-minute
slow motion offline, but
yeah,
for the job that we were talking about coming up in a month or so, I was gonna maybe rent or buy a couple of the Mission 1s because
if you need
we're
it,
shooting golf and
sure,
get the close up of the ball at 960 that we can trigger it. Okay, great, boom. But yes, if
you need it,
very specific use case.
But I do like that. So if you need slow motion, I'm again, random thought on the internet, but 120 frames a second in clean, not super bayered and gross looking, 120 frames a second is 99.9% of the time great, especially if you're going out to social media, because you have to cut that stuff down. Anything over 120 frames a second, nobody's sticking around for that anyway. You've lost your hook time. Like, you need to get in and get out, and it needs to be a small amount of your edit, whatever you're doing. So those 360 cameras, the DJI Osmo, the X5, the new X6 has single lens mode up to 120 frames a second. So even if you're doing that, the only problem is now you've basically dumbed down your 360 camera to just be a GoPro. But if you're okay with that, then you have both cameras in one setup, one piece of accessory stuff to get. So I think that's the easier way to do it. Question here. Oh, Jake, you're replying to all of us.
Attempting to reply.
Matthew.
All good. I didn't mean to do that.
All good. Eclipse photos. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
From what camera?
Okay. So there was this.
Okay, Jake knows this. You're gonna need to fill me back in.
Yes. Okay. We gotta pull this up. I didn't. This is the problem with this show, is that I see cool shit on the internet like this, Matt, and then I go, "Oh wait,
we could have talked about that."
Well,
that's why we all get to hang out here. It's not just you and me, Jake. It's everybody that's here in the comments too.
Okay, so there was one. So basically, I think there was this massive eclipse, I think in Spain. But basically, you had all of these guys going out to. Let me pull this up. But here, if you want to switch over. Yeah, this was crazy. So there was this.
Yo, that's insane.
Yeah, Spanish Olympian Danny Leon. So this is just one of the cool shit that just happened. So this incredible skateboard jump with his August 12th total solar
Matthew was talking about.
What?
That's what Matthew was talking about. He said the skateboarding one was insane. I was trying to pull it up.
So this is it. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's see if I make this bigger. Does it make it a little better? Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it.
But just wait. So like that's the iPhone all the way zoomed in, right? Look at this.
Dude.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
But now what is that? Like, what are we shooting on? If that was because that's not one of these action cameras. That was that big.
No, this is like a Sony. Yeah. Like, so if we go slow, I'm just gonna have to we're gonna have to catch it and see, yeah, it's like a half a second.
It's a half a second, but yeah, it looked like you got a 400 or yeah.
I mean that's that's like a 400 or 600, and either on a Canon or a Sony or something like that. Cool. So it looked like it was a double setup where
Yeah, Matthew, thanks for sharing that with me, man. I knew that we were getting a really cool eclipse, and I've just been too busy and didn't even cross my news desk. So thank you for sharing that with us, man. That's cool.
Yeah. So that was the big one that I saw. But I'm sure that there was. Let me just see if I can find anything more.
The other thing we can touch on while you dig for that, because Matthew, you and I share very similar feeds. I believe. Mute that because I don't need that. This was same. I saw this come by my feed as well. So extra. Here's my thing that just again, it just kind of drives me nuts. I get it. It's their company, but they're now they've just announced they're basically just going to sell these cameras globally now. There's a global announcement, which just means we're going to try and get all these cameras off of our hands because we're not going to sell them in the United States. That's what I'm reading it as. They're not going to be able to because they have pushed off their conversation with the FCC this far. I don't personally, again, random guy on the internet, I don't think we're going to see this camera come to the United States, which is a bummer because especially after CineD's dynamic range testing, this is a cool, like the Pocket 4P is a really interesting camera with that lo-fi chip in it with 17 stops of dynamic range. As much as we've concluded that that is the new protein sizzle word, it is a cool camera and I'm bummed, but I read this. I guess I appreciate your communication and kind of trying to keep your base in the know, but I don't think they're coming. I think they're launching this globally so they can sell out of what the stock that they already have. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
It's interesting. I mean, again, you have it's crazy. It's crazy. Interesting times that we're all in. But I do know people who are definitely going out of the country to get the DJI 4P and then bring it back here. I definitely know, it's the new, or buying it on eBay from people who've, got it. Like it's definitely people are having it out here, but they're going through non-traditional ways to bring it.
Today I thought about that. I was like, I wonder if I could just go to Canada and buy some of this cool stuff, especially the drone stuff, which we can touch on. Oh yeah, Mexico's closer for both of us. I'm interested in this one though. I want some thoughts. What do you think about the Pocket 4P being able to transfer data off to your phone? Is this a security? I mean, I would assume anything that you let your
phone. I think being off of your phone.
Yeah.
So it's going the other way.
Let me know what you're hearing on that too, because I've got some security issues that I think is just hilarious that we're selling as features on both. And we can jump to Insta360's doing this. I don't know if you've seen this. It's a cool feature, Jake. Have you seen this Gaussian splatting that you can do with the new Insta360 cameras, where you can basically trace a scene and it will compile an entire 3D model of that room for you?
Like LiDAR?
No, it's using the 3D cameras. I'll pull it up.
Oh, I mean, that tech has been around though for a while. I mean, it's Matterport. Matterport has been doing that for real estate for years.
Not quite. Yes.
Is it not the same thing? I haven't seen specifically what you're referring to, but if I'm understanding it correctly, it's, all right. So, but Matt's got an update back for us while you're pulling that up. It can transfer with the camera being off. I've always heard with the tinfoil that the mics could hear when off, but the 4P transfers when it's off. Wild. So, look, I know
you turn that off.
There's definitely been reports of, I don't know specifically about the 4P, but there have definitely been reports with the Meta glasses, about being stuff, covering your camera, with even the green light doesn't turn on, but it still transfers, seeing, Tesla with driving cars, like they have a camera inside to make sure that you're actually driving, and that Waymo supposedly has a bunch of, people watching these cameras to make sure the cars are actually being driven, but by simulator, people in India. So I've definitely, seen breaking reports about it all. And it's, so, it's.
Here's another one where I was saying, it's not just DJI doing stuff. These companies that are selling features as features. This is what Insta360 is selling. And Matt, it seems like it's similar. You just plug here's the AI auto director. Let me see if they've got this. You plug your Insta360 in overnight, and it'll just upload all of your footage to Insta360's cloud all of it goes somewhere, and it'll just edit all of your videos for you. Don't worry, it's all probably secure.
But
that's where I was trying.
That's kind of dope. Like, yes, there's a side of me that goes, "What the heck?" But then the other side of me that goes, "That's sick. I don't have to worry about that. These are just fun clips, whatever. I'm not thinking about anything." 100%.
Yeah.
Like, there's the 100% dual sides of me that's like, I don't want to spend the time editing that footage because this is a gimmick camera. This is not me. Like, this is my art. This is just fun vacation stuff. Let me put, the same way an iPhone goes, like, here's your little memories video and puts the little slideshow together. Like, yeah, same thing. Like, oh, I can throw a little I can get all this vacation footage and it'll just auto edit a cool little video for me. 100% I'm down.
Yeah. I mean, that part's cool. It's just, and again, Matthew, I'll jump in with you in your tinfoil hat because I'm the same way here. Okay. Do we remember
the same thing that happened with Pokemon Go?
Thank you. That's what I was just about to pull up.
On Pokemon side. Like,
okay. Tell me this doesn't give you, since we are all in it together here, does this not give you Pokemon Go vibes here? This is Insta360 just launched this as a new feature coming to not just the X6, all of their cameras. Again, Jake, to your like, it's just a fun camera, it's cool. But here's what this is. You can see it's similar to Matterport, but you just take your camera
steroids
and you walk around a room and it will build this entire. So Matterport exists with individual 360 photos that you can kind of walk through from one to the other. This will create entire 3D mapped spaces.
100%. This is going to completely train AI models. Are you kidding me? This is 100% training AI models. This is Google Maps on steroids.
Yeah.
That's
where I was literally like, very cool. It's very cool way to trick us into uploading every cool location. It's the Pokemon Go model where
it's brilliant. We have to just take a step back and like look at just from a company standpoint. We can discuss the other points in a second, but from a company standpoint, it's freaking brilliant. This is going to massively make them so much money as a company. It is the most brilliant move I have seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm very jealous as a entrepreneur. I'm not an engineer, but work with them.
No, I was trying to pull. You were too fast, Matthew. I was pulling this comment up because I was thinking. So here's my only concern on this stuff is if you work in anything sensitive, and maybe your work isn't. I think there are very cool reasons to want to use this feature, but who owns
But Apple does this with LiDAR. Apple has a whole LiDAR thing that is in a similar way.
But Apple's very clear about what you own versus what gets processed by their servers. And maybe I'm naively trusting that when Apple says we care about your privacy and
No, they don't. They've been tracking our faces and fingerprints from day one. Come on.
But this is another company that you have no idea once you hit upload this video where that's going and where that you're not owning that footage anymore.
Same thing was with Meta. Did you? So I mean, 100%, 100%. But you don't own any footage anywhere. Like in my opinion, I just assume that you post something online, it's gone. Like you don't own it. Like anyone's gonna use, especially now in our modern day and era. Like how many times are we repurposing other people's footage? Other people's it's fair use comment. Like come on. The amount of people, let me just do a reacts channel. You don't own any of that. Like,
yeah, but you're
making money off of it. Like, it is, in my opinion, like that. I don't know. That's my look. And I come from a traditionalist family. Like, I come from a family of artists who literally have like made their income based off royalties. And the concept of royalties is losing its space. In our modern era, like I had a client who was like, oh yeah, what about what was it? Like actors, like we were looking at casting an actress and like usage rights. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had a company ask me about usage rights in a long time. Like the concept of usage rights and royalties, and like it is starting to like, sorry, again, I'm on my Apple box.
Well, the only thing I would say is you're splitting off an entertainment niche, or because I agree, if you post something online, there's lots of, I mean, I've worked for construction companies that this goes internal only. This is not, the building's not done yet. The codes aren't done yet. This is for internal use only. This doesn't go out, and secure servers, and you can still do video work for those people, but there are security clearances in terms of where that footage goes, and there are privacy concerns for that kind of stuff. So where that's just what I'm saying is like, this is another cool feature, and realistically it's not going to be used for those people anyway, but you don't own that footage anymore once you click upload to the cloud.
Yeah. But again, it's in a similar way. Like I see it in a similar way to the Meta controversy that was earlier this year. I don't know if you tracked with it or if you knew about this, but there was a whole thing with the Meta Ray-Bans being this privacy scandal that basically that there was entire centers in India. I just pulled up this article randomly, so I haven't actually scanned about it, but about 7 million pairs of Ray-Bans have been sold in 2025. And, you know, basically, there
was an article. I mean, I'll jump on that with you. There was an article yesterday that they're getting sued in Germany for the same exact thing.
Yeah, that basically that, you know, these centers in India are being able to, or reviewing the footage, or, you know, it's always on. And so if it's not indicated, like if it's not blacked out, like, and there are a ton of individuals who have had, you know, videos of themselves and photos of themselves where they are in compromising situations or, you know, non-public situations being seen by these workforces in India.
Yep.
And so
it's not a tinfoil hat thing. It's happening.
It is a true thing. It's just usually your tinfoil hat is about, you know, a year to 5 years, you know, early.
Yeah.
It's usually, it's like, yeah, you're not wrong. It's just early. Like there was a quote. Oh my God. There was an ex-CIA on the Diary of a CEO or Modern Wisdom or one of these one of the, you know, the top big podcasts. And the guy, I think it was Diary of CEO, and he says, okay, how much of the tinfoil hat things are true? And he's like, to be honest, about 50% of them are true. But the thing is this, you don't know which 50% are. And we use that to our advantage.
Yeah.
And so we're not wrong. It's just half of it is right, half of it is wrong. We just don't know what of that is right and which is wrong.
I'm going to say I was just right and early on the GoPro thing. That's just, I'm going to hold my hat onto that one. I was right when I said this in April that this was weird. So I'll just put my cap there and say the rest for everyone else. Matthew, I agree with some of this stuff in just in terms of we're just building a country, a massive database. What are we doing here on YouTube though, too? Like I don't know. That's tinfoil hat stuff, but I'm with you. I like where this is somehow transitioned into a very interesting spot. We were just going to nerd out about some cameras that I wasn't going to buy, but this is a good place to be, man.
It's been a fun episode because it's definitely like, you know, here's some cameras, here's the industry, and then now we're into, you know, but this is all things I don't know. In my opinion, it's like all things you have to be aware of. You know, like I've heard of, you know, of stories from like Tom Cruise, for example, who was just like, and the reason why he's so successful is because he's just taking full responsibility for the industry and for his career and for just the entire filmmaking community, where he's like, great, we got to get films going back in this. Or like he was the one to start the whole worldwide press junkets in terms of movie releases, because he also wanted to travel. So he was like, great, I'll go promote the movie in this country, and this country, and this country, and this country.
Yeah.
And so, but like for us to be aware of it, like, you know, taking this Insta360 launch or with this new kind of product, it's like, yeah, all right, we're training AI models. but we can fight it. We can use it. We can like just, in my opinion, it's like just be aware of it and then have your own mores on what you feel comfortable with. That's my, at the end of the day, my stance is like I look at it, I'm like, great. I know what I'm doing. And all right, it is a tool. Like as long as, for me, as long as I'm using the tool to benefit me and others around me, that's all we can, that's all you can do. And if you feel like this tool doesn't benefit me and it's actually a net negative for others, then don't do it.
It's fair. It's good advice. I'm going to bite my tongue slightly and I'll save my AI rant that I had angrily written down in a notebook to bring up at the start of this show. And I'll see how I feel next Thursday to see if I bring the AI rant up. Then
well,
I will
one other
tease
breaking news though, which we'll save for next week.
Oh, okay, wait, what's the break? Oh, we're just teasing that there is some breaking news.
Well, no, I mean, I saw it on my feed, and again, I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball on this, Colden, because I'm not on social much these days. And so I was on it yesterday and I saw it, and then I deleted Instagram again, which made me forget about it all.
Yep.
But Ari has a cell phone camera out, which we're going to cover 100%. We're going to cover next week, and a lot about 100%.
And I want, because my head, anybody, Matthew, I know you're still here. If your head, when you saw this collab, went to any other cell phone, leave that in the chat, in the comments, because I will compare it, at least in my thoughts,
to the other cinema camera phone launch that was
nowhere. Yeah, so we'll talk about.
It's going to be a big segment next week. It'll be a big,
interesting camera. So I'm sure everybody will have done their homework by then. But we'll talk about it next week. The other thing that we need to talk about, which AJ, we didn't get to today, and I'm sorry, man, but there are some FCC suggestions that are going to be changing more drone regulations, more issues coming by early next year. So we'll break that stuff down. There's some interesting stuff in what they're deeming to be military grade, and a few drones that are not going to be included in that I'm interested to talk about. So we'll hit that next week, because it is an interesting topic to talk about what is potentially going away and what is potentially staying, and where the next future of some of this drone technology might go if the FCC gets to keep its way into the future. We don't know that yet. So, oh man,
there you go.
Good stuff. Cool.
Some fun stuff next week. And then,
guys, thank you.
It might be more GoPro drama and more DJI drama and Insta360 drama.
There always will be. Everybody that was here, though, thank you for hanging out. If there's anything that we missed, I mean, you guys brought cool stuff to us that I hadn't even caught that skateboarder on the Eclipse yet. So Matthew, thank you for pointing that out. If there's stuff that we missed that we should be covering, you can add to our show notes for next week. Just drop stuff in the comments and we will go back and cover it for next week's show, probably, unless we just ramble for too long, because we're known to do that also.
But it's always fun. It's fun.
It's always fun. Love hanging out with you guys. Yes. Yes, sir. All right, guys. Until next week, I'm Colden.
I'm Jake.
This has been The Creative Lens. See you guys next week.